straight into the list with number 10. I like your suit better, Heath.
I don't.
All right, number 10 on the list, Fear Agent number 1. This is the Rick Remender classic, and it is in development by Seth Rogen and Evan Goldberg. Copies of this book are about $20 on eBay. This was my selection. I like it at the $20 price point for those who are a big believer in this TV Spec. There is a black and white variant cover that you can't find real cheap these days. But the A cover is dirt cheap, and it makes sense to me.
Yeah, that variant cover is pretty sick. I think Tony Moore did it. And what I like about this book is it's inspired by EC Comics. So yeah, I'm really interested to see it, on film. I'm pretty sure they're done with the script.
Good stuff.
Cool.
Moving right along.
So
Number 9,
right. Yo,
Edge of
comic
Spider-Verse.
fan.
Number 2,
Comic fan.
The
Edge of
Greg-
Spider-Verse 2.
the Greg Land variant. We can blame the mighty Mel V for this book being on the top 10 list, but it makes a lot of sense. We've seen incredible moves for the Djurjevic Ultimate Fallout 4 variant. Does somebody want to talk to us a little bit about why the Edge of Spider-Verse 2 land variant makes sense?
Yeah, I mean, if you're plotting on the same trajectory as the 1 in 25 for Ultimate Fallout 4, then it makes sense that this book is undervalued. The bet here is that this thing really goes parabolic, right? If you think about Ghost Spider and Miles, they go hand in hand. This book should catch up at some point. It's probably even more scarce than the Ultimate Fallout 4s, and hasn't really kept up at this point. Even though some of the first prints in the cover A's are right on the heels of Ultimate Fallout 4's cover A's, this has a little ways to catch up to the 1 in 25. So maybe room to run, but this is a big boy book if you're going to be putting money down on this.
It looks like we have the Mexico version cover.
no, it's okay. Whatever. Everybody knows it. I'm not worried about it. I fucked it up.
That's the only one I can afford.
Yeah, that's right. That's all I can do.
And we're not suggesting that you buy the Mexican version.
No.
Sorry to all of our international comic collectors.
It's okay. It's okay.
All right. New X-Men number 144?
145.
145. I apologize. Ben, I think this was your pick.
This was my pick. Chris Evans has been linked to coming back to the MCU to do a few projects. One of those projects is to introduce Wolverine, go back in time, and have a story where they cross paths. This book is super important because Captain America is identified as Weapon 1 in this book, which is part of the Weapon X program, or the Weapon Plus program, if you will. That really sort of changes everything we know about the two characters and makes it super relevant. What's interesting about this book is in this time period, there were no variants for this that I'm aware of. There weren't any late printings, but there is a newsstand, right? So if I'm out there looking for this book, I'm looking for the newsstands in this particular one. This is also linked to the Weapon Plus series that came out as well, that tells the story of Captain America and Wolverine. That's sort of a follow-up book to this. I think this one is really cheap spec, and if you find it in a newsstand, grab it and don't tell anyone, tuck it away, because I think that's a home run.
Yeah. Now, Ben, for those who would be critical of this pick, like they are of many of my spec picks, suggesting, nobody cares about story spec. I don't know why you like that stuff so much. what's the response? Why is this so important as we look to Marvel TV and the forthcoming introduction of the mutants into the MCU?
Yeah, I think it really sort of sets the stage for how Marvel's going to sort of transition from the Cap era into Wolverine, right? Story Spec, I think, can be really powerful, and this, made us all the readers rethink how we knew Captain America. The best thing Marvel can do, in my opinion, is tie Wolverine to Captain America for their movies and television, right? I don't think there's anything more profitable for them to do that, and this book right here is the one that ties that all together. So I think it's a layup, and it's not a book that you're going to have to throw a ton of money at right now, but I think it has a long way to go.
Good stuff. Number 7, Ball and Chain number 1. So I like this book particularly because Emily Blunt and The Rock are attached to the project. It's a good read for those who are unfamiliar with the storyline. Basically, we have, I don't want to run the whole thing, but they tell sort of like a superhero romantic comedy that works. The hook is that these two need to be together for their powers to work, and they don't get along so well. So I'm really excited about this one. It's a $10 buy right now on eBay. And I think that, unfortunately, it may take a long time for that project to get made, or it may be made, within the next year or two. Who knows? But if I've learned anything from the Black Adam, it's that when Dwayne Johnson gets attached to a project, he makes sure that it happens. Emily Blunt is, by all accounts, an A-list celebrity and has rabid fans, just like The Rock. I think this book makes sense to me.
I think it's super adaptable. For a TV type show, I think it could be a huge home run, and it's sort of one of those tongue-in-cheek pokes at superheroes with a unique twist. It seems like a layup.
All right, what's next? What If number 47? Is someone going to be kind enough to talk a little bit about this book, Jessup?
Best cover I've ever seen. As far as what if books go, tying into Loki series, I got nothing. I'm sorry.
Fair enough. So Sleepy, who's no longer with us, was kind enough to educate the panel. He indicated that really the impetus behind this book is it was an early what if plot that they thought was going to be animated, and now it's kind of a double bang for your buck when you've got the forthcoming Loki series. People love the cover art, which looks like it should appear on a 1970s van. And I think you can still find these books relatively cheap and in back issue bins. Look for high grade copies. They're not going to be well cared for by issue number 47.
Yeah, the dark cover gets beat up on this one particularly badly.
Let me tell you why I voted it a little aggressive. It just kind of brought back the Kate storyline a few issues back when his Thor's hammer goes onto Earth and a civilian finds the hammer and he turns into a new Thor. I can't recall his name offhand, but which I'll remember in a second. But yeah, it brought me back to that storyline. And when I saw this, it kind of reminded me of that. And I like that storyline, so I voted aggressive on this one. Plus, the cover is sick.
Cool. Makes sense to me. That's my girlfriend.
Mm-hmm.
All right, buddy. This is your book.
Yeah, this is Strange Tales number 126. This is a very attainable moderate key, which has the potential to be a major key. Cover art by the great Jack Kirby and Steve Ditko, and a Stan Lee story. This is you have your first cover and reveal, plus in the guts appearance of Dormammu, which anybody who's seen MCU movies knows or reads Marvel comic books. But the potential with this one is because it's in story first appearance of Clea, which Clea is actually down the line is the love interest of Doctor Strange. Due to WandaVision, what's everything that's going on with WandaVision, some rumors came up, possibly the blonde-haired lady that was in episode 2. Some people on blogs and whatnot in comic circles are thinking maybe she's Clea. I highly that's a reach to me. But long story short, I think Strange is going to be here for a while along with Voodoo, and they're going to do their thing. And I think eventually the MCU is going to get smart. Going to put Cumberbatch with a love interest, should be Clea, in which it would be good to have this book on hand at that.
Cool. Great analysis there. Number 4.
Brother Steve, talk to us about Marvel Boy.
Sure. So this came up a couple weeks ago when I was reading Secret Invasion, and one of my takeaways from that was who were the key characters in that miniseries, and Marvel Boy played a big role, and then I also remembered 2 years ago when there was a new Guardians of the Galaxy series, as there needs to be every year, right? A new number 1, and in the shadows, I think Marvel Boy was there, and this book, really popped, and now it's come back down to earth. But if you think about the MCU and Secret Invasion, he could be a player there. He was also a member of the Dark Avengers, which has been a past rumor, and it's always easier to rehash old rumors than come up with new things among the community that does that, right? He's also been a member of the Young Avengers, and apparently a love interest of our girl Kate Bishop. So there's just a lot of plays on this.
Oh, shit.
And then there's also a variant, a 4K print run Dynamic Forces variant. So that's also attractive. Also, this was a character developed by Grant Morrison, and when Grant Morrison develops characters, you tend to see them, used. First thing that comes to mind is Damian Wayne, for example. I think there's a lot of room, and I would imagine there's a newsstand of this as well, but I haven't researched that. It's got to be out there, right?
I've never found it, but it very well may be. This is an era where newsstands were starting to get really hard to come by, but there certainly may be.
Cool. We got number 3. This is my pick, not my pick, but this is the pick that it's going to be. Wish it was higher.
Bang bang.
Right.
I tried to buy Phil's copy, but I didn't have enough money. So I was legitimately, viscerally angry. I was like, God damn it, now I'll never get a copy of this book at a reasonable price. But the reality is people are already in the know. Sentai number 2, the first appearance of the Power Rangers, basically in comics. Guys, can a couple of you talk about why this book that's already a big dollar book has a high probability that it's got a ways to go?
Sure. Well, I'll just quickly add that I sell a ton of Power Rangers comics. I don't know anything about Power Rangers. I'm too old to know that. But Power Rangers fans are loyal, and you see things from the 90s, like Pokemon cards and Magic the Gathering cards, and then Nico, you and I are always going, okay, what's the 90s equivalent to G.I. Joe, He-Man, Transformers? Power Rangers has got to be the 90s franchise, right? So that's my take on the book, but I know some other people are more familiar with the Power Rangers than I.
Phil, you saw this one coming. And unlike me, we're smart enough to buy. Talk to us about what you saw and why you saw it.
I mean, everyone's looking for the next Star Wars, so I run a toy shop as well. So I sell a bunch of Power Rangers figures along with Transformers and Star Wars and Transformers, right? So, and I just knew how rare this one was. It's super hard to get in high grade. They're usually banged up. The card stock isn't that great. So I saw a big opportunity to buy this book. I was able to get a few copies, but Key Collector did make an alert that one sold for $500 something in raw condition. I'm just looking here really quickly too. On the last 90 days on eBay, we've had 3,300 Power Rangers comics that have sold. So it's a far cry from some of the other stronger properties, but I mean, there's a serious demand here, and the variants, they've been pretty solid plays on New Comic Book Day, certain ones, so
I think people like that Boom series a lot. I don't personally read it, but it seems to be doing really well, and people who like it love it. This book is not easy to come by. You don't need a huge audience to have this thing go crazy, right? And that just opens up a little bit and forget it. It's gone. You're never going to see it again. So
yeah, they're rebooting the movie franchise, talking about some kind of shared Power Rangers universe. And if you're like me and you were just a little too old for Power Rangers, don't make the mistake of watching the awesome Power Rangers fan film on YouTube with the guy from Dawson's Creek in it, because if you do, then you'll be thinking about, well, maybe I should try to spend $2,500 and pick up a 9.6 of Sentai number 2 on eBay.
Just one.
Yeah, because it's awesome, and so is this book. Good stuff, guys. What's
let me add one more thing. I think this is perfect timing for this book. Spoiler alert. I don't know if I'm right or not, but there's heavy speculation that Mighty Morphin Power Rangers issue 4, which comes out in about 2 weeks, should reveal who the Green Ranger is. The 1 in 100 Derek Chew has half of the Green Ranger's face. I would definitely keep your eye out for that one. Great pick.
Good stuff. Oh boy.
All right. So here we've got arguably the first full appearance of Riri Williams. We get her face on this second print here, which makes it attractive. This book had around 6,500 copies ordered by retailers. So issue 9, the big book, and I'm going to sort of challenge it a little bit here. The big book is the Age of Apocalypse variant. They estimate that that's probably about 20% of that first print run. This book, by all estimation, is as rare, if not more rare than that. Currently on the census, there's half as many in any grade of this second print than there is of that Age of Apocalypse variant. Listen, I don't think there's better spec right now than Riri Williams. She's getting her own show next year, really 2, her own show, and she's heavily featured in Armor Wars, which follows it up immediately. She's going to be a big star in the MCU, and the buy-in for this book is pretty cheap. I just picked one up this week for less than $50. I think from an ROI perspective, this book is absolutely massive, and you don't have to put out a lot of money, and you're not taking a lot of risk. Like, is she coming? Is she not? She's got her own TV show coming. She's going to be a major Marvel star. Super psyched about this one. For me, it seems like a layup given where the buy-in is right now.
Yeah, so for those listening in podcast form, that's Invincible Iron Man number 9, second print. And to the top book of the week.
All right, so this is Invincible Iron Man 7 third print, the companion book to the book we just talked about. This is her first appearance. It's hard to argue that. She's featured on multiple panels on the final page of the book. She's at MIT working on Iron Man armor. This third print is attractive because they dropped her face there on the cover. The buy-in for this book is half the price of the one we just talked about. You can pick these up for $20.
What's it say there, Ben? What's it say around her head? Or around her head?
It says introducing Riri Williams. So it basically says this is her, right? This is the first time we see her. The other bubbles on the other follow-up books say featuring Riri Williams, I believe. This one says, introducing Riri Williams, or the first appearance of, even actually, it may say in there, the first appearance of Riri Williams. So
it definitely says first appearance of Riri Williams.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The print run on this thing is also in that same neighborhood. I can't read it on the screen. In the same neighborhood of that sort of 65 to 6,500 range. This book, to me, I look at this, I'm thinking, I can't believe you can get it at these prices. From an ROI perspective, I can't think of many books where you can make as much as you can on this one. I would be grabbing these up now, because I think in 6 months you're gonna be looking back on these prices and thinking, why the hell didn't I buy a couple more? So a real smart play for a character that I think is going to be super popular.
Okay, so for
that's
those
it.
who are not
Great pick, but
real familiar, tell me again, why precisely do you think Riri Williams is the character that people should be focusing on for most bang for their buck right now?
Yeah, so she, we all like Miles, right? We know he's going to be huge, but he is a ways away from happening within the MCU, right? We're going to get a 10 to 12 year run with this character. She's going to slot in and effectively fill the Iron Man role within the MCU.
that's a great point. Great point.
The buy-in on these books is not expensive, right? If we're talking about $200-$300, it's a different conversation. Right now, we're talking about. I just picked up one of these literally this week for $25 and $45 for issue number 9. These are very accessible for most collectors, and people should be adding them to their collection.